Alright, this is John for MTG Nexus coming in here with another Modern Quick Hits video. This time we are doing Omnath, no Cascade, Bean. That means we're not playing things like Shardless Agent or Ardent Plea or Bloodbraid Elf. Instead, we're playing the more traditional version of Omnath Ring with Up the Beanstalk. Huge thing with this deck, you get access to Run in 6 in addition to Up the Beanstalk. So you have a lot of different card advantages. You have Run in 6, you have Up the Beanstalk, you have potentially Nissa, you have Omnath, the One Ring. So you have a whole lot going on here. The trade-off is, obviously for one, you don't get to play something like Fury, so you're heavily reliant on cards like Solitude, Leyline Binding, Prismatic Ending, and Teferi to answer all of your opponent's threats. Beyond that, you get to run a Delighted Halfling in this particular version to cast your Teferis, your Run in 6s, and Omnaths through counterspells, as well as copies of the One Ring. You are a 23-land deck with 4 Delighted Halflings, so a little bit low on the mana in terms of lands with Run in 6, but still fairly reasonable overall. You get to run Besagius to be able to blow up your opponent's permanents. So all in all, pretty solid main deck. It's Omnath with the ring, just adding the Beanstalk, so get to draw a bunch of cards, do the control thing. Sideboard, Fulminator Mages, good against Tron and Amulet primarily. You could also include something like Obsidian Charm on these slots, depending on what you're aiming for. Supreme Verdict when you're up against decks that might overwhelm you board presence-wise before you can really get rolling. Dovin's Vetoes when you need some hard counter spells. Narset's pretty decent tech for the ring and the Up the Beanstalk Mirror. 2 copies of Endurance, Graveyard Shenanigans, good against, Living In, Rakdos Evoke, Is It Murktide, all those kind of piles. 3 copies of Force of Vigor, helps against Blood Moon, Urza Saga decks, Up the Beanstalk Mirrors, etc. So it just depends on how you want to approach that matchup. That is 4-color Omnath with Up the Beanstalk, but no Cascade. Let's get into the Quick Hits match. Once again, if you like modern content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and let's get into that match. Alright, Quick Hits with some color Bean, no Cascade. This hand is... If we had a fetch land, this hand would be much better with Wrens, but I think we just have to mulligan. This hand has Prismatic Ending Teferi, so I guess we keep, but I'm not terribly excited about it. Prismatic being important for things like potentially a turn 1 monkey if we just don't get scammed here, which feels like we might get. Yep. Okay, so Fury is problematic. Pass turn. Let's see what kind of. So we do have Triumphs. Do have Leyline Bindings and Solitudes to draw to. Okay. One does get to hit us for 8, which is unfortunate. Alright, they could potentially have Bowmaster, so this game could be over very quickly. Ronrin. Okay, so Island Mountain Plains. Let's get Zagath, I guess. Alright, if they have Bowmaster, we're effectively dead on turn 3, so it is what it is. Of course they do. So go to 10. Alright, well that was a fun game. Alright. So, Supreme Verdict. Endurance is kind of middling against them. It's really just a Supreme Verdict in. Keep the rest of our deck going. Okay, Prismatic Ending, Solitude, the One Ring, Omnath. Do I even want Endurance? Maybe. Down like a Nissa. first. We have a reasonable Magic the Gathering hand if we don't get scammed. And if we do, we have a pretty easy answer. So go ahead and fetch basic forest, I guess. Halfling go. We're going to try this wonderfulness again. So they get to kill halfling, which is annoying. I guess we'll pitch Supreme Verdict instead. Alright. We have not the Blood Moon, should they happen to have it. Hopefully we don't get thunk seized here. Oh, for freak's sake. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why Scam is such a stupid deck. Yeah, they get to take... Ticks. Okay, if they feel like attacking it, that's fine. The fetch land, play the fetch land, pass. Feels like they'll kill Ren, although I just think they honestly should ignore it, considering they know we have 2 lands in hand. Since we're not really worried about Blood Moon this game. You know what I am worrying about, though? Drawing a relevant spell in time. Fetches. Okay. That's us for 4. Like I said, my opponent should probably have sure. Here comes Torok. Well, that's a heck of a how do you do. So I think I would rather cast this, but then get rid of a land. Guess the only nice thing here is Solitude can potentially outrace them. This is why I think you need Fury in your decks if you're going to play this deck. Okay, so they kill Teferi, which is fine. Prismatic Ending, not the best of magical cards, but I play the Leyline Binding, that way if we draw our other Teferi, we can, you know, bounce it and reuse it later. So, rather than it just getting pitched. Sheoldred's annoying, but it does kind of encourage them to attack, which allows us to continue to gain life, so I'm fine with that. Okay, so we need to green, white, red, black. X equals 3, goodbye Sheoldred. Hello life gain, my old friend. Just going to continue racing. Okay, I don't think this is the right strategy unless you have something to follow up. So we'll play Beanstalk, see if they have a Bowmaster or something. Which of course they do. Why wouldn't they, right? Pass. I honestly think our opponent should ignore run it. Oh, of course, they top deck Fury. So they get to do everything. Got it. And we've already pitched Supreme Verdict, so... guess our best draw is Solitude. You know what's not a good draw? Delighted Halfling. Alright. And that'll be our quick hits for Omnath Ring with no Cascade.